It began with a scream, sharp, guttural, and unnervingly human. In the dead of night, the sound sliced through the air like a blade, waking the sleepy town of Cragmore. The scream came from the Forgotten Woods, a place everyone in town knew to avoid. But when a search party entered the forest at dawn, all they found were claw marks gouged deep into the trees and a single blood-stained shoe. The stories of Longlegs had always been whispered, passed from one trembling voice to another. A creature with unnaturally long limbs and glowing eyes that stalked the woods, hunting those who dared trespass. No one who saw it ever lived to tell the tale. Some dismissed it as folklore, a way to scare children into staying away from the dangerous forest. But those who knew better locked their doors at night and prayed they'd never hear the sound of snapping branches outside their windows. Now the scream had awakened the legend once more. On the outskirts of Cragmore, a group of teenagers gathered around a flickering bonfire. The night was cold and the fire's light barely pushed back the encroaching darkness. Mia, the fearless leader of the group, leaned in close, her voice a mix of challenge and excitement. "We're doing it," she said, her chestnut hair catching the firelight. "We're going into the woods tonight." Ryan, her best friend and the group's voice of caution, frowned. "Are you serious? After that scream? People are saying it's Longlegs." Jake, ever the joker, laughed nervously. "Come on, Ryan. You don't actually believe that crap, do you? It's just a story." Brooke, the quiet but sharp-witted member of the group, shivered and pulled her jacket tighter. "My uncle swears he saw it once. Said it was wrong. Like it wasn't meant to exist." Mia rolled her eyes. "That's exactly why we're going. To prove it's all just nonsense. We'll go in, take some photos, and be out before midnight." "Easy." Despite their hesitation, the group agreed. Armed with flashlights and a sense of uneasy bravado, they set off toward the Forgotten Woods, unaware of the nightmare waiting for them. The forest greeted them with a suffocating silence. The air was damp and cold, and the thick canopy above blocked out the moonlight. Their flashlights cast long, dancing shadows on the forest floor, where fallen leaves and twisted roots seemed to reach out like skeletal hands. "This place gives me the creeps," Brooke muttered, her voice barely above a whisper. "Relax," Mia said, though her confidence wavered. "It's just a bunch of trees." Ryan's flashlight caught something on the ground. "Wait, look at this." They gathered around a large footprint, far too large to belong to any human. The elongated shape and clawed tips made their blood run cold. "What the hell is that?" Jake asked, trying to sound nonchalant but failing. Ryan knelt down, his voice trembling. "It's not a bear. Bears don't have feet like this." The group pressed on, though the unease was palpable. Strange symbols began to appear on the trees, carved deep into the bark. They were jagged and crude, yet they seemed deliberate, as if marking something. "I don't like this," Brooke said, glancing over her shoulder. "It feels like we're being watched." The others dismissed her, but Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that she was right. An hour into their trek, they stumbled upon an old, crumbling cabin. Its roof had partially collapsed and ivy snaked up its rotting walls. Mia's eyes lit up. "This is perfect," she said, pulling out her phone to snap a picture. "See? Nothing to be afraid of." As Mia posed in front of the cabin, Ryan's flashlight swept across the tree-line. He froze. For a split second, he thought he saw something tall and spindly moving between the trees. It was gone before he could say anything, but his heart raced. "Ryan, what is it?" Mia asked, noticing his pale face. I thought I saw something. It was tall." Before anyone could respond, a low, guttural sound rumbled through the woods. It was deep and resonant, like the growl of something ancient and hungry. "Okay, that's it," Brooke said, her voice shaking. "We need to leave. Now." But before they could move, the sound came again, louder and closer. Then came the footsteps, heavy, deliberate, and unnervingly slow. Snap, crunch, snap, run, Ryan shouted, grabbing Mia's hand. The forest seemed to come alive as they ran, branches clawing at their clothes and roots tripping their feet. The footsteps behind them grew faster, and the guttural growls turned into an ear-splitting shriek. It was as if the creature was toying with them, letting them think they had a chance. Jake tripped over a root and hit the ground hard. Brooke skidded to a stop, screaming as she turned back to help him. That's when they saw it. A towering figure emerged from the shadows, its limbs impossibly long and its glowing eyes piercing the darkness. Its face was a twisted amalgamation of features that seemed to shift and blur, as if reality itself couldn't contain it. It let out a bone-chilling screech and reached for them with clawed hands. "Get up!" Brooke screamed, yanking Jake to his feet. Together, they sprinted after the others, the creature's guttural growls echoing behind them. The group burst into a small clearing, their breaths ragged. The footsteps had stopped, but the oppressive silence was worse. "What the hell is that thing?" Jake panted, clutching his side. "I told you," Ryan said, his voice trembling. "It's Longlegs." Mia's bravado was gone, replaced by wide-eyed fear. "This can't be real. It doesn't make sense." Brooke pointed to the edge of the clearing. "Look." Carved into the trees were more of the strange symbols, forming a rough circle around them. At the center of the clearing was a stone altar, covered in moss and vines. The air around it felt heavy, as if the forest itself were holding its breath. "We need to leave," Ryan said. "Now." But before they could move, the creature stepped into the clearing, its spindly limbs stretching unnaturally as it tilted its head, studying them. For a moment no one moved. Then with an ear-splitting screech, it lunged. Mia grabbed a branch and swung it at the creature, but it shattered uselessly against its body. Ryan and Jake tried to distract it, throwing rocks and shouting, but it was relentless. "The altar!" Brooke screamed. "Maybe it's a way to stop it?" Desperate, they ran to the altar. Symbols on its surface began to glow faintly, and Ryan noticed a hand-shaped indentation. Without thinking, he placed his hand on it. The ground trembled, and the creature let out a deafening roar. A blinding light erupted from the altar, forcing them to shield their eyes. When the light faded, the creature was gone, and the forest was silent once